Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is the DFS 5-pack. We're here to talk through the NBA slate, the ever-changing NBA slate for this evening.
Yeah, it is a day, right?
Every day in the NBA, it's always something, always something.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we mentioned this real quickly under the MLB video as well, but I just wanted to reiterate to everybody, if you go to the front page of the website, there's a Let's Chat button. Make ourselves a little bit more available to the public. The easiest way to get a hold of us moving forward. I mean, right now we're up on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. But if you got a specific DFS question, hit the Let's Chat button. Let's talk it over. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And I just want to reiterate, we got 16 days left to work on this early NFL best ball tournament through Drafters, who is sponsoring the show today. So I encourage everybody, even if you haven't played yet, you do these snake type of drafts. This is a best ball type of format, only $5.50 to get in. 30,000 in prizes, but the key here, it's lining up to have huge overlay, which means there is money to be made, fellas, and we don't get a lot of those tournaments throughout the industry anymore, so let's take advantage.
No, overlay is like the magic word as far as DFS goes, and whenever you can get it, you should take advantage of it.
Free money, baby, free money. Weekly membership purchasers today will get a $10 reimbursement for their first week, meaning that you can get the next 7 days of NBA and MLB. All you got to do is sign up for only $5. That is 5 hard-earned American dollars, nothing more, nothing less. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. So let's talk about some of the good plays for today. Charlotte Hornets deserve a lot of your attention today. Yesterday, it was hard not to go real hard on the Jazz with Mitchell and Ingles and Bogdanovic, and they played very well against Washington. Charlotte is kind of wrapping up to be today's version of the Jazz. I'm looking at Brad Wanamaker, 3,800. He had been playing well already. But the news came out earlier that Scary Terry Rozier will not be on the court today. So we already know LaMelo and Hayward are out. So there are two key guys to get the offense rolling are gone. Now we are going to move down to Brad Wanamaker running the point with working along with Devontae Graham. A bunch of these guys deserve to be on your radar. He had already been playing well, even with Rozier around. This could only be big for him. He's playing for playing time. This is a team that still needs wins, and they get the Lakers B squad that's on a back-to-back.
Yeah, Wanamaker actually landed in a good spot with Charlotte with all these guards missing now. I mean, already missing LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, combo guard, forward, if you will. Now Terry Rozier not playing. I mean, just a really good spot in general for Wanamaker against the Lakers team that, while they're usually good defensively, they're missing their two best defenders, two best players, AD and LeBron. And all of a sudden, a good matchup. The game I expect to be decently competitive, but it doesn't even matter. Wanamaker's going to get his run regardless. Like you mentioned, already playing well. Looks like just a cog in the machine type at under 4K, 3,800.
Is he going to win you tournaments tonight? Probably not, because he's probably going to be highly owned. And I just kind of expect him to go out there and meander into like 26 DK points or something like that. Just solid, ho-hum performer.
For sure.
All right. Next up, Darius Bailey. Clearly, OKC has a lack of talent right now. They're so bad. I think Bailey might be their best player playing tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's like a crazy statement at all. I think that's the probable. That's like the. I would say that as well. I mean, Bailey is their best player tonight in a game that, yeah, OKC will probably get blown out, but does it matter? He played 36 minutes in his first game back in a blowout against a Philly team that's comparable to Utah in a lot of ways. Put up really nice DK points at his $5,500 price point. Again, he's a guy that we know has upside. He's streaky and he looked good in his first game back. They wouldn't be playing him if they didn't want to give him minutes. Like him quite a bit here.
Yeah, he's very affordable. They're shorthanded. So even when they eventually do get their butts kicked because they lose by 30 almost every game, he's still going to be out there hooping, trying to get you some points because they just don't have enough bodies not to play everybody.
Agreed.
All right. Next up, cover board for the day, Paul George. No Kawhi. He is going to be big-time chalk today. And I think my best argument for Paul George is I would love to pivot off of him solely based on the high ownership in GPPs, but where are you going? Like, where are your better options? I don't have one. It's going to be easy to afford him today. There are pay down spaces all over. Like, I just don't have a better, like, decently sized big money play. Like, I expect Paul George to probably outscore Damian Lillard today. So why would I spend extra money on him just to be different? He's back in his old stomping grounds if you like that sort of thing. For me, he's playing well and playing with confidence right now, which means a lot in a game where, both of these teams could use some wins. Most of the teams in the playoff could. I just expect him to walk out there and do what he's been doing.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to be popular, but for very good reason. I mentioned it earlier. I think he could easily, and if I were drafting today, be the highest scoring player on the slate in a real good spot, going back to his old stomping grounds. No Kawhi, and just lock him in and move on.
Yes, sir. That sounds about right to me. All right, so we're going to move over to what we call the long shot section of the show, but quite frankly, it's hard to even gauge long shots at this
Yeah,
point of the day with the news coming in, ownership projections scattered all over the place. So I'm going to go with the guy who I expect to get some love today, but not overwhelming, and that is Bogdanovic of the Atlanta Hawks. The Bogdanovics are on my good side because the other guy was really good for me last night. So tonight I'm going to go with the Atlanta version of this one. No John Collins, no Hunter, probably no Gallo. They are shorthanded, which is good for his minutes. So it may seem like he's kind of highly priced at 6,800, but is currently looking at his role on this team, especially with like Gallinari not around tonight. He's had a lot of 40-plus games lately. He's a good player, right? You know, there's a reason that there was a couple teams like my Bucks looking to get him this offseason. This is Toronto's D squad. I'm not at all scared of their defense. He's been earning his money lately. Atlanta's another one of his teams. Like with how cluttered it is in the middle of the Eastern Conference right there, they need their wins. I expect them to play hard to win this game tonight. I think Bogdanovic is a big part of that.
I agree. I do think that Bogdanovic is probably going to be a long shot no matter how the slate breaks out, just because he's pricey and there's, forward value. That said, you mentioned it on the members only video. He's got 40 plus and 5 of 8. That's pretty good upside at under 7K for a guy we know is talented. I like this call a lot.
It's big for me that Gallo's out because they only got a couple places to go for offense on this team. Obviously, we know Trae Young. I'm a big Clint Capella fan, but he's not an offensive force, right? He's there for a couple of rim runs to the hoop, a couple of putbacks, but you got to get your buckets from somebody. With no Collins and no Gallo, it's Trae and Bogdanovic. And Trae's not exactly been consistently on fire and taking over games like all the time this year. He has really, taken to a little bit of the distribution role. Not that he doesn't get it going from the outside some days, but I would not be at all surprised if Bogdanovic was the highest scorer on Atlanta tonight.
I don't disagree with you one iota.
Highest scoring real life points, not highest scoring point total for DFS.
I got you.
All right. Next up, Malachi Flynn. So I do think that the Hornets losing Terry Rozier and all the values that come right there will make Malachi Flynn a lot more of a long shot than he would have been an hour ago.
Yeah, which is why I was kind of thinking about him. And you mentioned it. Long shots are a little bit tricky right now as far as the NBA season goes, just, getting later in the year, earlier in the day, etc. With Lowry out again tonight, Flynn looks to be in a really good spot, and I don't think he'll get as much love as he should. His price tag plateaued a little bit because Lowry was back in last game. He had been solid, like real solid, in the 5 games prior to that. He's in a good spot against Atlanta here in a game that should be relatively competitive, and even if it's not, he's going to get his run. I mean, there's a lot to like here, and again, you mentioned it with Wanamaker, Devontae Graham, etc., Paul George. That's 3 guards right there. Flynn can't get as much love as he normally would or should.
Yeah, he's been very admirable what he has done. And another thing for him, and I put it in that last point, like he's playing for playing time. This is a team that, they got Van Vliet inked for a while now, but it seems like the future with Lowry is very unclear, and he's playing to get his time.
I like what Jeff Van Gundy says. It's not only is he showing himself for the Raptors, but he's showing himself for the rest of the league. Like a team could potentially want him and make a trade for him. I mean, remember Tyrese Maxey at the beginning of the year, how well he played? I like guys that take advantage of that.
Absolutely, guys. That is what we got for today. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button, and we will see you all tomorrow for some more baseball and basketball talk.
Thanks, guys.